welcome to the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona. Tonight, the Cardinals try to make it 3 straight over the Diamondbacks. And for Chris Carpenter at Bank One Ballpark, it's a final tune-up before the All-Star game. Overall, a record of 12-4. Look at the ERA, one of the best in baseball at 2.60. He rides a 4-game winning streak coming into play tonight. His first of those 4 against Toronto, 9 innings. Then it was Cincinnati. He goes 8. He goes back to 9 against Pittsburgh. Last time out, Colorado at home, 7 2/3. Carpenter 4-1 in the month of June. With my partner Al Rabosky, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and we welcome you to Cardinals baseball here at Bank One Ballpark in Phoenix, Arizona. If you like pitching, you're going to get it tonight. Javier Vasquez has been struggling. He has lost 3 straight, but the Cardinals have Carpenter going tonight.
And Vasquez is really a quality pitcher, so you never know what might materialize. One thing we do expect is Chris Carpenter is going to remain dominant, go out there and pitch the way he has the last few starts, and that has been spectacular.
Well, Chris Carpenter, of course, has won 4 straight. Well, the other guy that we're going to talk about is just, well, he's turning out season after All-Star season. It's Albert Pujols.
Well, he's 5 years in the big leagues. He has 4 All-Star appearances now, and you can see the numbers. Doesn't matter what year you're doing, but the one thing, it seems like every year the strikeouts keep on going down, and that's truly a goal for him.
It was the Albert Pujols show last night with his offense, 3 for 4, and his defense. Speaking of defense, we're going to take you back to 1 year ago tonight at Busch Stadium. Cincinnati in town, Edmonds with one of his best catches. Coming up next. Schnooks, this date in baseball history takes us back to Busch Stadium 1 year ago from tonight, as the Cardinals would welcome Cincinnati to town. Matt Morris on the mound. He would be very sharp early on. Cardinals, though, fall behind, but they come back thanks to Edgar.
That is gone, and the Cardinals lead it 4-3.
But the play of the game, not that home run. How about this catch from Jimmy?
Here's a fly ball into center. Edmonds has got it. Oh, shit.
And our old buddy Steve Klein would close it out.
Right field. Will it stay in play? Cedeno giving it a look. Cardinals win it.
Timely hitting, and good pitching for the Cardinals. Good defense for St. Louis as well a year ago, and basically that's just carried over here in 2005.
Well, it was Joe with the Cardinals win. Let's hope it's Dan with Cardinals win tonight, but we've got a chance to have a very spectacular game here tonight, and I'm really looking forward to see Carpenter. The way he's pitching, he's worth the price of admission, and we're going to pay for it tonight.
Yes, we are. Chris Carpenter and Javier Vasquez will hook up a pair of right-handers. Albert's getting stretched and loose. He's in the lineup tonight. Our 4th key matchup next, and then baseball just around the corner. With Cardinal baseball from Arizona tonight, game 3 of a 4-game set. St. Louis begins with a 12.5-game lead over both Chicago and Houston, and tonight the Cardinals turn it over to Chris Carpenter. Look at that record in the last 4 games. This is your 4th key matchup. It's 4-0 with a .27, minuscule .27 ERA, and that's your 4th key matchup. First pitch, starting lineups next from Phoenix. To you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here. By Auto Tire. For straight talk and great service, you ought to go to Auto Tire. By Steak and Shake. Real steak burgers and real milk milkshakes. Served 24 hours a day at Steak and Shake. And by Southwest Airlines. Friendly nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Tony La Russa has guided his club to a 12.5-game lead. Now Chicago has already been rained out tonight in Atlanta. Houston is playing tonight. They have a lead of 5-2. That's in the 7th inning over San Diego. So Houston can jump ahead of Chicago tonight. Albert Pujols goes deep last night. He's in the lineup again this evening. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Eckstein, Edmonds, and Pujols here in the first. Walker back in there. He'll bat cleanup. Then Roland, Sanders, Kritzalonic, Molina, and Chris Carpenter batting 9th on the mound for St. Louis. Well, for Tony La Russa, they keep this team grinding towards the All-Star break. And now, you know, from a player's perspective, some guys like to shut it down a little early before the break, but the Cardinals have started this road trip off on the right foot.
Well, they really have, and you don't ever worry about Tony La Russa's having his team let him down.
defense for Arizona tonight. They start play 4.5 games back. It's Gonzalez, Cruz, and Green. That's a look at Troy Gloss, their new third baseman in 2005. Alex Cintron is at short. Craig Counsell at second. Tony Clark, his first start in this series, he's at first. And behind the plate, it'll be Chris Snyder. Bob Melvin, first-year manager for Arizona, just trying to keep their heads above water as they are 41-44 this season. But still in the thick of things, the National League West Division. San Diego leads it with a record of 45-39. There's Bob Melvin, who's stuck behind one of the Arizona coaches. They've got a lot of prospects coming up. And this was a team, Al, that a year ago went 51-111. And so here they are, just 4.5 games out. And they still believe they have a shot. They've got the Cardinals for 2 more starting tonight. They've got Cincinnati over the weekend, and then the all-important series when they come back in the second half with San Diego to really try to figure out where they're at in the West.
Right. Nobody seems like they want it in the West. And as you said, they shedded a lot of payroll. And Vasquez is the real addition from getting rid of Randy Johnson.
Here's David Eckstein hitting .289. Vasquez making his 18th start of the season this evening. And what a trade this has worked out to be for Arizona, the halfway mark of the season. Good time to take a look at how Vasquez and the pitcher that the Diamondbacks gave up compare, and that's Randy Johnson. Pretty much a wash with their numbers, but Vasquez makes $5 million less. So that's the big difference between the two. Cintron charging. Eckstein retired.
Now Vasquez isn't quite 29 yet. That'll happen later in July.
His numbers brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Does have 2 complete games. Got off to a very good start at 5-1 this season, but as we talked about during our open, he's lost 3 straight.
Notice the walks. He and Matt Morris have only allowed 16 walks on the season. That's among the league leaders. Brad Penny has allowed 13. He's the only one better.
And now it's Jim Edmonds, struggling as of late. And a swing and a miss on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. His last 8 starts have been batting out of the second spot in the order for Edmonds. And in 12 starts in that spot, Jim is hitting just .174. This one is popped up, foul and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. He is one of 6 Cardinals headed to the All-Star game, and the Cardinals will pay out over $250,000 in bonuses for the All-Star selections. Checks that I'm sure they're happy to write.
Yeah, the funny one is Albert. It's $275,000, and the Albert's only $25,000 of it. Everybody else has got like $50,000 bonuses.
And the one that I believe is the most is David Eckstein, because if there was a difference if he was voted in by the fans or chosen by Tony La Russa, there was a difference in what he would make. But either way, nice little chunk of change for Detroit.
Ownership's more than happy to pay that bonus out there. These guys have earned it. Best record in the National League.
0-2 pitch to Edmonds. Curveball just misses outside.
Vasquez will throw a lot of curveballs. He'll throw changeups to the left-handed batters. He's got a slider. He's got this 2- and 4-seam fastballs. He can be tough.
Edmonds into deep right field. How far will it go? Get in the pool. Over the pool. Edmonds with home run number 16, and it's 1-0 Cardinals in his 51st RBI this season.
Jim Edmonds was 0 for 13, but he has had success against Vasquez. Now he's 5 for 11 and his 2nd home run. Looks like he's going to throw a changeup here. As I said, he'll throw a lot of changeups to left-handed batters. And it was down, but right there for Jimmy. That's a good way to break that drought and give the Cardinals a quick lead.
Now it's Pujols hitting .346. First pitch to Albert. Tap foul. Good to see Edmonds break out of it here tonight, hopefully, with that solo home run to get things started.
With Carpenter's pitch, that might be all he needs, but why not pile on?
Pujols in the midst of his second 17-game hitting streak of his young career. 3 for 4 Last night he scored 3 times. He drove in 2. And he's batting .422 during this streak. And some believe he's not even hot yet. I look at his. How can you say he's not hot? Look at what this guy has done this year. It's the 2nd longest hit streak of his young career and his 12th career hitting streak of 10 or more games already.
And he's had success against Vasquez, 5 for 10 with a home run.
2-1 pitch to Pujols. Curveball catches the outside corner. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Albert didn't like the call.
Joe Brinkman back behind the plate. Crew chief.
Vasquez gets the sign he wants. The 2-2. Hit to third. Glass will take it. Throw hop over to first, and Tony Clark. 2 outs, and it brings in the cleanup man Larry Walker tonight. Tony La Russa would like to see Walker play at least 2 of 3 over the weekend against San Francisco, if not all 3, before the 4 days off for Walker and many of these Cardinal players.
Sure, that's I think in every 3-game series you'd like to see him play 2 out of 3, but with the time off, 4 days off for the break, it'd be great to see him play all 3. And I think Larry is, Larry understands what his body's going through. It's banged up. It's not going to ever be totally healed, but he's more than willing to play with a little discomfort.
He's had very good numbers at this ballpark, playing primarily in his career in the West Division of the National League. So a lot of games here at the Bob. 1 ball, 1 strike on Larry Walker. 1-2. Scott rolling on deck. One of the toughest lineups in baseball.
Scott's had the most success from Vasquez when they were both in the East Division of the National League. Vasquez came up with Montreal, Scotty with Philadelphia.
2-2. Of course, Vasquez, the centerpiece of the deal with the Yankees and Randy Johnson. There's Carpenter now with a 1-0 lead. Walker pops it up high in the air to shallow center field. Jose Cruz Jr. is there. Jim Edmonds has given the Cardinals an early lead against the Diamondbacks with his solo jack. It's 1-0.
Hey, baby, I'm ready.
Those folks out there almost picked up a souvenir, but Jim Edmonds hit one over that pool. Arizona Diamondbacks starting lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Council, Cintron, and Gonzalez. Glaus, Green, Clark, Cruz Jr., Snyder, and Vasquez. That was home run number 200 of his career for Troy Glaus. So back cleanup tonight. Chris Carpenter, his numbers brought to you by Rico. 18th start of the season, a record of 12-4. Al.
He's just been outstanding, not only this year but throughout his Cardinal career. 27-9, 45 starts for the Cardinals.
And a fastball to start this ball game for Carpenter, and a strike at the knees to Craig Counsell.
Undefeated, 6-0 and 7 road starts this year with an ERA at 1.78.
You know what's interesting, if you read papers outside of St. Louis or hear other people talk about who should be the starter in the All-Star game, it's either Dontrelle Willis or Roger Clemens. You don't hear the name of Chris Carpenter, but if you listen to Tony La Russa, he says, I'm going there to win this game after what took place last year. There is not a hotter pitcher right now in baseball than this man, Chris Carpenter.
Wouldn't get any complaints from us.
4-0 in his last 4 starts. That is pulled foul by Counsell. He is 4th overall in the National League in ERA. He is tied for 2nd with Livan Hernandez, who is making a start tonight for Washington with 12 wins.
He lost.
So that game is now a final.
Yep, 5-3. Washington loses to the Mets.
So if he wins, he ties Dontrelle Willis, who will make a start on Friday night. Roger Clemens will have a start on Friday night as well. And there was some talk that Clemens might forego going to the All-Star game and give up his spot maybe for Roy Oswalt, but Oswalt has been voted in by the fans.
He was. I knew he was leading, but that's over now.
That's over now.
He was voted in. That's good.
And Scott Pasednik is in for the Chicago White Sox.
I think he's getting in on Counsell. Self-defense swings, and they're starting to wave towels over the dugout in the stands.
About 3 of them that have gone over the Cardinal dugout.
But the rules are that this game, the All-Star game, counts. So why not go with the guy that you have the most confidence in?
And I think it would make most sense with Carpenter, because he'd be the one with the extra day's rest. That's right. 2-2 the count on the leadoff man Counsell. He's making Carpenter work here in the first.
Counsell trying to call time. Now Carpenter's going to take all his time, make the hitter wait.
Good battle here with Counsell and Carpenter. So Scott Pasetnik and Roy Oswalt voted in by the fans for the All-Star game, and they're at roster spot number 32. 2-2 pitch way outside.
Dave Duncan was hoping it would be Billy Wagner to have an additional left-handed reliever, as Fuentes is the only one. But we're talking about a lot of guys that can retire right and left-handed batters.
And it's ball 4. That's something that Carpenter rarely does. A leadoff walk. Defense behind Clark tonight. Sanders, Edmonds, and Walker in the outfield. Of course, Albert Pujols was busy last night. He's at first. This is the Auto Tire defense. Kurtzelanek at second. Eckstein at short. Rolling at third. Molina behind the plate. And Chris Carpenter, of course, on the mound and pitching for St. Louis. Leadoff walk, and it brings in Alex Cintron, playing shortstop tonight. And a couple of balls now have gotten away from Carpenter. Alex Cintron had that collision with Scott Rowland a couple of years ago in the playoffs. Knocked Rowland out. Arizona, of course, back in 2001, the world champs.
Carpenter lost that battle with Counsell, who had a very good at bat. See if he can't regroup and get a double play ball.
Another pitch that's up and away, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Cintron 0 for 2 last night. Took over at shortstop late.
Carlos Tosca, former Toronto manager, flashing signs, and one of my former teammates over at first base, Brett Butler, coach.
Good rip. Foul back, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Cintron scored the 5,000th run in franchise history for the Diamondbacks back on June 10th. And he was their pretty much everyday shortstop a year ago. Played 133 games at short. Then they went out and signed Royce Clayton. And by the end of last season, he was playing second base. It's dropped by Kurtzelanek, and the only play is to get the lead man. A rocket off the bat of Cintron, knocked down by Mark Kurtzelanek. And I think even if he catches that, would have been tough to turn to, because Counsell had read it. And he was caught between first and second, and now Dave Duncan doesn't like already something he sees with Carpenter.
Yeah, just a lot of balls were up and kind of fighting himself a little bit, and maybe just something they saw, letting the front shoulder fly open, but maybe kind of getting back on track. Kurtzelanek, that ball was a rocket, knocks it down. They get the force out, but Cintron was running hard all the way, and Counsell had stopped right in the middle of the base paths. And I think that was what Eckstein, another reason why he didn't make the throw.
Here's Gonzalez. Fastball misses up and in.
Gonzalez 4 for 10 with a pair of home runs off of Carpenter, who's 2-0 lifetime against the Diamondbacks.
Luis 0 for 4 last night. He's hitless in his last 12 at bats. And he will be the lone representative for Arizona at the All-Star game, the 5th time he's been selected in the last 7 seasons. I'm sure that's a thrill for him, because earlier in his career he was a Detroit Tiger. The longest tenured Diamondback. Joined the organization prior to the '99 season.
And ever since his career took off ever since he was traded here to Arizona.
And right before he was traded, he opened up his stance, similar to what Andres Galarraga did. So he almost faces the pitcher. Spoils that 2-strike pitch. Lined into the seats. It's 1-2.
Gonzo's knocked in at least 100 runs in each of his first 5 seasons in Arizona, and is the franchise all-time leader in runs, hits, doubles, home runs, RBIs, total bases, and games.
Coming back off of Tommy John surgery last year. See on his right elbow, he wears that almost like a brace, but a heating agent for his elbow.
Kind of a compression sleeve, and then it keeps it warm and kind of really firms the muscles where you just feel like you've got support.
Chases ball 3, and it's a strikeout for Carpenter. Gets away with the pitch.
It's another aspect of Carpenter. That's 122nd strikeout of the year. Came in is kind of a not where he wanted to throw it, but in the eyes of a hitter, they see it so well they'll chase after it and rarely come up with it.
Trey Glass hitting .260, 2 for 3 with a walk last night. Tuesday night he picked up career home run number 200.
Also halted an 0 for 16 streak that he had.
Signed a 4-year deal with the Diamondbacks. Look at Gonzalez. He chased a ball for out number 2. Another pitch that's up from Carpenter. You talked about it in his last start, the fact that he didn't have his best stuff, but that was against the Colorado Rockies.
No, he just, I mean, he still was dominant in that game, but there's just something right now that maybe he'll settle down in this. Gets a few pitches under his belt. Come to expect him to just be so good that, you know, you've got to remember he is human.
3-0. Out of play. Cintron is the runner at first. Oh, it caught our umpire. It's a full count.
Got him on the left arm.
Danica Patrick, the race car driver, and a Phoenix native, and a Cardinal fan. Back for her second game of this series. And it's the second walk handed out by Carpenter.
Illinois had allowed 31 coming into tonight. Walks, 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio.
Carpenter has a chance to, if he goes deep in this ball game, take over the league lead in innings pitched. You mentioned he's just behind Pedro Martinez in strikeouts now with 122. Martinez with 129. Strike 1 on Green. He's got good power.
He's their hottest hitter. He has a 7-game hitting streak working for him. And he 4-17 during that time. But and 0 for 3 against Carpenter in his career.
Runners at first and second. The 0-1 pitch misses in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sean Green a couple of years ago with 49 home runs. He's in the top 10 in that category for the Dodgers all time. And with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, he's hitting .255.
They would have had to have been teammates in Toronto.
And they were visiting for a while yesterday. A strike on Green. He can't believe it, along with the fans and Bob Melvin.
Well, that's Bill Miller over there at third base. And remember, any Bronx, when he was at first base, he rung up hitters, so he's consistent.
Green in the hole, 1-2. Curveball back to Carpenter. He's going to get out of the jam. Arizona strands 2. We move to the second inning. The Cardinals will have Rolling, Sanders, and Gritzalana coming up. Well, they've moved to the 8th inning. Houston on top of San Diego 5-4. This is our NL Central standings brought to you by Jack in the Box. So if the Astros can hold on, they jump ahead of Chicago. Their game rained out in Atlanta. The Brewers 13 games back. Then you've got the Pirates and the Reds. Reds playing at San Francisco. And the Pirates have lost tonight. That's now a final. Philadelphia beats them 5-0. Tony La Russa trying to make sure that his team finishes strong before the break, and then obviously not play complacent down the stretch in the second half. The final 100 games a year ago, the Cardinals went 70-30 out, and they opened up such a big lead that Tony La Russa would go to each player individually and ask them, are you mentally tired? Are you physically tired? If you are, don't worry about it. Take that day off. We're going to give somebody else that time to play. But if that person played, he said, treat it as if it's the 7th game of the World Series so you don't lose the edge.
Right, and this team is 2 games better than they were a year ago. So 105 wins a year ago.
Rowland hits it foul and out of play. He's been swinging a hot bat now, starting to come around. 10 for 22 in his last 7 starts, and the average has jumped already to 272. It's Rowland, Sanders, and Gritzalana here in the Cardinals half of the second, leading 1-0. A Jim Edmonds home run, his 16th this season, and his 51st RBI. The 1-2 pitch. Shot foul again.
You can tell Scott just making better contact, not being fooled by pitches, accepting walks when they're there. He's had 49 plate appearances against Vasquez, 13 hits, and 3 of those are home runs. 3-game hitting streak, 6 for his last 10.
Rounds it foul again. Vasquez, a guy that was really overlooked, but was one of the best pitchers in the National League a couple of seasons ago. And the reason he was overlooked, playing in Montreal. His best record was back in 2001. He was 16-11. That Montreal team with a 3.42 ERA.
He got the big contract from the Yankees, $11 million a year. So I guess he wasn't totally overlooked.
Well, the scouts know.
Yeah.
But the fans sometimes don't, because they don't get the coverage of the Expos, and didn't back then. And in New York, he went 14-10. And it's all about, what have you done for me lately? Because here's a guy, Vasquez, that was an all-star last year. His first half, he was terrific. Then the wheels came off.
Yeah, and I was talking to Hal McRae, who saw him in the second half and felt like he really threw a lot of change-ups. And, you know, he's throwing harder now. It looks like he's got some more arm strength than he did a year ago.
And he blows it by Scott Rowland for a strikeout, his first.
Now McRae will tell you that, you know, he's got a fastball, he's got a little giddy up on it. He's got the 2- and 4-seamer, but he'll throw a lot of curveballs to the right-handed batters. He'll throw the changeup that Edmonds hit for the home run to the left-handed batters. But you know, a lot of times as the hitting coach, Hal will look for which side is the pitcher dominant. He pretty much throws most of them down the middle with movement.
That's pulled foul off the bat of Reggie Sanders. Back in the starting lineup last night. He's nursing that sprained right foot. And the average is at 283 with 17 home runs and 42 RBIs.
Just say this is one of Reggie's more consistent years.
I don't think there's any doubt about it, because when we've seen him get hot, he gets very hot, and when he's cold, he's very cold. I mean, there's not a lot of middle ground, it seemed like, last year with Reggie. Fastball on the outside corner at 95 miles an hour. No balls and 2 strikes.
357, 7 home runs, 19 RBIs his last 23 starts.
And how about at the age of 37, leading this team with 13 stolen bases?
And you know who's in second place?
Albert.
Albert with 8 for 8. And Reggie's what, 13 for 14.
Right. And prior to this year, Pujols had stolen the most, 5 in a season. He did that twice, back-to-back years. Just got to look at the banners here with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're trying to get back there this year. It's the baseball event of the summer coming up July 18th. It's the Whitey Herzog Celebrity Roast. Join Bob Costas, Jay Randolph, Charlie Spoonhour, and a host of Whitey's former players. They'll roast the White Rat. It's at Harrah's Casino Lounge, 421-4400, or Ticketmaster.com for all the information and tickets. There was 3 division crowns in 5 years for Arizona, and then last year it all fell apart. They went 51 and 111. I mean, 51 and 111 last year. That's what an expansion team would do.
I remember they had severe financial problems. Brought in some more ownership money. They were borrowing at an alarming rate.
There's Jeff Morad, former agent, now general managing partner of this franchise. That really raised some eyebrows when he decided to get on this side of the ledger as far as being in management with baseball. A chopper towards short. Cintron across the diamond. Grudzielanek retired. Cardinals go 1-2-3. Well, who can forget Jim Edmonds' catch in Game 7 of the NLCS against the Astros last year? Coca-Cola and Kriegers have teamed up with the Cardinals to bring the first 30,000 paid fans on July 17th. That figurine, Astros and Cardinals, 115 421 2400. You can log on, as always, to STLCardinals.com. Switch hitting Tony Clark. He is 11 for 27 against Carpenter. In his career, had the best numbers in the lineup for Arizona against the Cardinal right-hander. And quickly, it's 0-2. It's Tony Clark, Jose Cruz Jr., and Chris Snyder. Carpenter got out of a jam in the first with runners at first and second base. Oh, 2 pitch. Pulled foul. Another pitch that's up in the zone. That one on 0-2.
Well, some of it's okay with a left-handed batter and having that cutter coming in above their hands. You want to lock them up, but you got to make sure you get in far enough, deep enough, that if they hit it, the only thing they can do is pull it foul. This was a very good outing for Matt Morris against this team because they had so many left-handed batters. Left-handed batters have a .272 average against Carpenter.
Grounder left side, taken by Eckstein, almost cut off by Scott Rowland. That turned out to be a much more difficult play for David Eckstein because Rowland almost cut it off and shielded him from the baseball.
And you really have to concentrate as you see that big body flashing and past you, and you kind of screen you from the where the ball is. So a very good concentration for Eckstein to catch that ball and then make the play. But right-handed batters batting 191, left-handers 272. So they've got a lot of lefties and switch hitters in this lineup.
And Al, you're taught as a third baseman, go get everything you can.
Right.
Grudzielanek, nice play to his left. 2 down.
And Carpenter's starting to look a little bit more. You know,
4 ground ball outs now.
Yeah, well, he's starting to find that release point to just get in on the left-handed batters, but starting to settle down now and have a more efficient innings. That was a long first inning for him.
Brings in Chris Snyder at Bank One Ballpark in Phoenix, Arizona. Cardinals with a lead of 1-0. Jim Edmonds home run, a solo shot in the first. Snyder hitting .223. 3 home runs and 16 RBIs for the backstop of Arizona.
0 for 6 in this series.
0 for 3 last night. He had 2 doubles and a season high tying 3 RBIs against the Dodgers on Sunday, but as you said, since then 0 for 6. And another ground ball and a chance for Gritzelanek on the outfield grass. 1, 2, 3 go the Diamondbacks. Cardinals coming up in the third. Bottom of the order, Molina, Carpenter, and then Eckstein.
You're watching Fox Sports Net.
Cardinals baseball on FSN. Midwest is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. We're ready in advance. By Aflac. Ask about it at work. And by Rico. How well do you print, copy, scan, fax? How well do you share? Well, it was only about 110 degrees today. Cooled off a bit, Al. Wasn't quite as hot.
Oh, no. It's dry heat.
Right. So that means it's really not that hot.
Tell you
blistering. Here's Yadier Molina. So we go from the dryness and the heat of the desert here in Phoenix, and it'll be a cold night on Friday in San Francisco.
We'll drop about 60+ degrees.
Be nice to see Mike Matheny again. We'll have a visit with him on our pregame show Friday night. A grounder towards short off the bat of Yadier Molina, taken by Cintron for the first out.
Trying to stop a 3-game losing streak is Vasquez, and a 4-game losing streak to the Cardinals.
Here's Carpenter hitting .054, no homers and 2 RBIs. Mike Matheny has got his golf tournament, his charity golf tournament for the Catch-22 Foundation coming up next week in St. Louis at the Bluffs. Of course, his family still calls St. Louis home. And I know it was very tough for Mike to say goodbye to the Cardinals, and likewise for the Cardinals to say goodbye to Mike Matheny. A broken bat. Grounded foul.
See, Troy Glass was going to let that roll, and just by the chance that it might kick and roll into fair territory with him standing in the batter's box, but it didn't do so.
1-2 the count on Carpenter with David Eckstein on deck. Cardinals have the only hit in this game, and it's a home run from Edmonds. Finals trickling in as the White Sox beat Tampa Bay 7-2. Toronto over Oakland 8-0. Oakland, one of the hottest teams in baseball. And Carpenter lines it to short. Detroit beat Cleveland 7-3, and Anaheim a winner over Minnesota 7-6. Garrett Anderson with a 3-run home run in that game, and Joel Parada his first major league victory. As we talked about, Chicago and Atlanta rained out tonight in Dixie, and Derek Lee did have an MRI on his shoulder, revealed no damage. But one of the things that's come out of it, he's got inflammation in the joint. He will not take part in the home run hitting derby on this Monday night in Detroit, and then may not play in the All-Star game altogether. He's more concerned about just getting ready for the Cubs to make a run.
Yeah. Albert Pujols will not be in the home run hitting contest. As remember, they're going 8 different countries will be represented, and Ortiz is the Dominican Republic's representative. And I think that's good. You can only get bad habits.
Remember what happened with Edmonds too. You get hurt his shoulder 2 years ago.
It's great for the fans, but you can pick up some bad habits. Get hurt.
Pops it foul out of play. Of course, Jimmy's got those shoulder surgeries and sore knees, so he hurt his shoulder in the home run derby a couple of seasons ago. Looked pretty good on his first home run tonight, though. Houston has one, so now they jump ahead of the Chicago Cubs. Houston 5-4 over San Diego.
And that Diamondbacks trying to win here so they can pick up ground on Houston, as everybody in the West been losing and staying status quo.
If you're Houston, you feel fine being just 6 games won the wild card after what they did a year ago to get into postseason play. They were 56-60 in the middle of August and 7 games out in the wild card. Now that's in the middle of August. Now they're just 6 games out here in early July, and they caught fire. They closed the season going 36-10. That could be a dangerous team with Roger Clemens and Roy Oswalt and Andy Pettit, Brad Lidge, and the very good pitching that they have.
The Cardinal fans that are out here, including I met a real hero last night, John Harabar. He's from Cape Girardeau, but he's visiting his wife's family. He's on leave from Iraq. Matt Williams right there, but I met him in Tezar, Hungary in '97 when he was being processed in and out of Bosnia. And now he's still in the service and on a 2-week leave from Iraq, getting ready to go back. That's a true hero.
Small world for you to run into him here in Arizona. Into right, they were playing in, and Sean Green makes the catch. Vasquez is settled in after that home run allowed to Edmonds.
Dave Duncan and his Cardinals enjoying a 1-0 lead back at Bank One Ballpark. You know, with the kind of role that Chris Carpenter has been on, that great June he had, and he started off this month well too. There have been some comparisons to the stretches of Bob Gibson. I talked to Bob Gibson at Al's golf tournament the other day, asked him about Carpenter. He said Carpenter actually has better command of his stuff. The thing he likes best about Carpenter, he wastes no time. He brings it right to the plate, guys.
Are you caged up down there, Jim? We shot you, and you look like, the cat is caged.
Can you see me now? I'm okay. Can you see me?
All right, everything's fine down there. Good. The comparisons of Carpenter to Bob Gibson. Al, you played with Bob Gibson. You're watching Chris Carpenter.
I like the way Carpenter's pitching, but we'll let him go a little bit longer before we make that comparison.
Rolen is charging and makes the play easily. And Vasquez is retired. So that's the first out as we start the bottom of the third. The Cardinals with the lead of 1-0. And a lot of people thinking this might be the biggest surprise of the first half. We knew that Chris Carpenter could be good, but this good? I'm not so sure we felt that way after watching what happened at the end of last season with his arm injury, because that was in the back of fans' minds. You know, could he stay healthy in the first half? Can he stay healthy the remainder of the season? And the Cardinals have treated Carpenter with kid gloves when he came over here. And then, of course, when he was hurt at the end of last season, they didn't push him. And Carpenter, in many ways, has rewarded the Cardinals by not going to the free agent market and signing back with St. Louis.
And, you know, it was an odd injury. And I remember last year about the All-Star break where a lot of clubs saying, oh, he's going to break down. Well, there was no rhyme or reason why he had that nerve impingement. And as quick as it showed up, it's gone away. But I mean, you just, what if?
Brad Penny had the same thing. Now he's back throwing fine with the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's 2 balls and 1 strike on Counsell. And you're right. What if Chris Carpenter is healthy?
Counsell and Carpenter having a little mental games right here.
That's what they did in their first at bat.
Yeah, and now Counsell calling time, so Carpenter will just walk around a little bit. There's one thing about, I'll make a comparison with Gibson and Carpenter.
Brzelanic, another play to his left. Third time he has done that tonight.
Don't play games with Chris Carpenter, you know, because I think there's a little bit of a mean streak in there, and I only mean that with extreme compliment, saying that.
And another thing that maybe stands out too, I mean, you talked about the fact that with Bob Gibson, I mean, guys just kind of left him alone. When he was in his zone, you left him alone. He had that mean streak. You didn't want to talk to him. You didn't want to mess with the guy. Well, same thing goes with Chris Carpenter. Guys on game day don't talk to him. They just leave him alone. Cruising so far as we head to the fourth. All-Star game is coming up next Tuesday from Detroit. It'll be on Fox with Joe Buck and Tim McCarver in high definition, only on Fox. The All-Star game Tuesday night. It's going to have a St. Louis theme on the National League side with 6 players going to the All-Star game. One of them at the plate. Here's Jim Edmonds. He is homer tonight. As we talked about earlier tonight, Roy Oswalt has been added to the National League. Scott Pasetnik of the White Sox has been added for the American League, voted in by the fans.
I did hear a rumor too. It's unconfirmed that McCarver and Buck are going to be wearing Cardinal uniforms.
Really?
Oh yeah.
St. Louis
to
theme.
Really tick off the East Coast media.
Good. 1 ball, 1 strike on Edmonds. It'll be Edmonds, Pujols, and Walker here in the top of the 4th. Well, Jimmy has been struggling in this 2 spot, but not tonight with that solo home run.
Well, something had to give. He was 0 for 13, but has had success against Vasquez, and he was trying not to let it wear on him, but you know he's very proud, and especially going to the All-Star game, you want to have those numbers climbing, not dwindling.
Of course, we started our broadcast showing the catch by Jim Edmonds a year ago from tonight against Cincinnati, taking a home run away at Busch Stadium. But it seems like anytime he scales the wall and takes a home run away, you can pretty much bet it's against the Reds. That one at Busch. Later in the season, he would rob Cincinnati again at the Great American Ballpark with the best catch I've ever seen in person. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I think it surprised himself. That's what was priceless about it, was his reaction. Because I think he was shocked. You know, he gave it the old college try, and then he came up with it and held on to it and brought it back.
And we have seen So Taguchi rob the Reds this year in center field. Climbing the wall, the 2-2 pitch, and a swing and a miss. And strikeout number 3 for Vasquez. Let's give you our What's on Tap. We're coming your way tomorrow night as we wrap up this series here in Arizona. And What's on Tap is brought to you by Budweiser. Jason Marquis 8-6 against Claudio Vargas. He's 3-4. And we head to San Francisco. We'll get in late tomorrow night and get ready for the first of 3 on Friday night. That game will be on FSN. And then over the weekend, it's 2 nationally televised games. One will be on Big Fox on Saturday, and then the much publicized Sunday night game for the Cardinals on national television. Tony La Russa not happy about that. Pujols pops it up. Could be a play. Just out of the reach of the 6'10" Tony Clark.
Now with a big contingent of Cardinal players going, they will have you know, a chartered jet to take them, but still, you know, you're going to get in about 6:30 in the morning, and there's a news conference at noon. And if you get in at 6:30, about an hour before you get to bed. How about that?
There's our Hardy's hot pitch of the game. Vasquez blowing it by Pujols on the outside corner, trying to just spoil the pitch. He swings through it. It's our Hardy's hot pitch of the game.
Perfect pitch right out there. Albert trying to get a piece of it, and Vasquez 4 strikeouts. He now has 106 strikeouts and has only walked 16.
And people forget that at the end of last season, he was demoted to the bullpen in the playoffs for the Yankees. He was taken out of their starting rotation, moved to the bullpen. He's got electric stuff, in particular with that fastball. 90 to 94 miles an hour. And when he's in sync, it's down in the strike zone. A lot of people thought that his problems, and you kind of touched upon this, Al, started when he was flying open. The front shoulder was just flying open, and that would cause the ball to stay up in the zone.
And also your arm's dragging, and so you're not going to have that life like finishing off the pitch to where you get some movement.
So it's kind of flattening out on him.
Sure.
2-1 the count on Larry Walker. His first time up, he flied to center. Hit into center field, pretty well hit, but right at Jose Cruz Jr. Midway through the fourth, St. Louis on top. With a lead of 1-0, Jim Edmonds' home run is the difference in this game as we move to the bottom of the fourth. Our Affleck trivia question concerning Chris Carpenter, who is his first major league strikeout victim. Chris Carpenter came up with Toronto back in 1997. So take your pick. A check swing and a ball in the dirt.
I know the answer.
Oh, do you?
Yep. And it's the correct answer.
Chris Carpenter, former first-round draft pick, number 5 overall back in 1993. He was 15-5 last year, but he never won more than 12 games while with the Blue Jays. We'll answer that question after the batter, Luis Gonzalez. He's ahead in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike.
I'll give you a little tease. The Hall of Famer.
Gonzalez down on strikes. Second time that he has struck out. He's having a conversation with our home plate umpire. But Paul Molitor, would that work? Who is Chris Carpenter's first major league strikeout victim? There it is, Paul Molitor, Hall of Famer. 2 strikeouts tonight for Carpenter as he's edging closer to Pedro Martinez for the overall lead.
And both of them are Luis Gonzalez. Those Carpenter's strikeouts.
How about that? You can do that in an opposing ballpark.
Yeah.
Blouse over Scott Rowland, the first hit tonight for Arizona, and it goes into the corner, retrieved out there by Reggie Sanders. 1-out double for the Arizona third baseman.
Blouse is listed at 6'5", 240, but he just seems like he towers over everybody else's 6'5". Big man, hits it over the head of Scott Rowland for a double. So he's been on base twice. The first hit by the Diamondbacks.
And it brings in Sean Green with a runner at second base, and the first scoring opportunity outside of the first inning for Arizona. They had runners at first and second after Carpenter had issued 2 walks back in the first. And Sean Green would ground out to Carpenter to end the inning. That was a high strike on Sean Green. Now it looks like a low strike. Listen to these fans. They're all over the home plate umpire.
Well, you got a tall man in the batter's box. Bill Brinkman been calling balls and strikes a long time. Bob Melvin not pleased with the strike zone, but maybe that's why we got a low scoring affair.
And the check swing held up, 1-2. Big Cardinal fan Bob Kintz watching baseball tonight back home and recouping and feeling better. 1-2 the count. Sean Green. When the Diamondbacks redid their roster, this guy was the final piece to that as the Dodgers traded him away. Green wanted a contract extension, got it from Arizona. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Second strikeout of the inning. And third tonight for Chris Carpenter. The second annual Cardinals campout is coming up. It's Friday, July 29th and Saturday, July 30th. It's $250 per person. Children 4 and under are free. The last campout in Busch Stadium history. You get a Terrace Reserve ticket to the August 18th game against the Diamondbacks. Cardinals campout souvenirs. Food and drinks are provided. Beer will be sold on a limited basis. 421-2400 or STLCardinals.com for ticket information. A swing and a miss by Tony Clark, and Carpenter looks a little bit sharper here the last couple innings.
Yeah, well, I think he's such a good competitor when he gets the guy out there in scoring position. You know, he bows his neck and shows you that he is one of the best pitchers in the league with his 12-4 record and a 2.60 ERA.
And a grounder cut off by Pujols, flipped to Carpenter. We head to the 5th. Roland, Sanders, Gritzolana coming up. Diamondbacks have stranded 3 on the night. Well, it's a good duel here with Javier Vasquez and Chris Carpenter. If you'd like to win Cardinals tickets and participate in the Southwest Airlines Family of the Game promotion during a Cardinals home game, here's your chance. Send your name, address, and phone number to Southwest Airlines Families of the Game, P.O. Box 771192, St. Louis, Missouri 63177. Good luck from Southwest Airlines. One thing about Albert Pujols is that his heel problem, or that foot problem, has not been a problem at all this season.
What problem?
He's made some great plays over there at first base the last couple of nights. That was a nice little play that he made on that last out.
Absolutely, and does it at times when it really counts, saving a run. We don't even hear a word about that incident or that situation.
As Scott Rowland pops it up down the right field line, Clark giving chase, and that's going to drop for just a strike. 1-1 the count. Scott Rowland struck out his first time up. And one thing that's been fun to watch with Chris Carpenter, he has avoided the big innings. I mean, you go back to earlier this season, it seemed like that kind of plagued him in his first couple of starts. But then you look over his last 4 or 5 starts, it's been a different guy. And first inning, a good example tonight. Runners at first and second. Gets out of the jam, avoids an early start going against him. 1-1 the count on Scott Rowland. This one well hit into right center field. Green giving chase, and he makes the catch.
It sounded like he got it, all of it, and you could tell Green, John Dish, able to track it down.
That's 12 straight set down by Vasquez since the home run by Edmonds in the first.
You're talking about Carpenter. He's only allowed 1 run in the first inning all season long, 2 in the second.
That makes just such a difference, especially
sure.
with this offense.
Well, this offense get you some early runs, and you go out there protected. He's allowed 5 runs in the 3rd and 4th. His 2 troublesome innings have been the 5th and 6th. 10 runs in the 5th, 12 runs in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, 0 in the 8th, and only one in the 9th. That was that solo home run when he had a shutout going against Cincinnati and Lopez.
And we were talking about big surprises this season for the Cardinals. You could make a case for this guy at the plate, Reggie Sanders. I mean, you know, at the end of the season, he's going to have the 275, 280 average, 20, 25 home runs, 70 to 80 RBIs, but it's his consistency that's been, to me, the difference with Reggie this year. Leads a team in stolen bases, 2nd in RBIs, and hitting above 280. When the Cardinals acquired Larry Walker, he had a good defensive right fielder become a very good defensive left fielder.
And his arm was not what you would say up to right field standards, but it's plenty good enough for left field, and he's already tied his assist of a year ago playing left field and 5th best in the National League.
1-2. Blew it by him. Strikeout number 5 for Vasquez. He has reached double digits in strikeouts 1 time this year.
He's always had a good arm, and Grizzolonic remembers they played together in Montreal in his very first year. But as you said, under the radar, playing up there, and went to the Yankees. They knew he had some talent. All-Star a year ago, got off that good start, and then collapsed down the stretch.
Grizzolonic right at the first baseman. That's how things have been going for him as of late. Another 1-2-3 inning for Vasquez. Cardinals on top. The This Capretta telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals LLC and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals LLC. Glad you're with us. Jim Hayes, Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you and our Bud Sports crew. Cardinals have a lead of 1-0. Jose Cruz Jr. will lead it off here in the bottom of the 5th. And on the first pitch, he hits it high in the air to right field. Walker backing up just a bit in front of the track for the first out. Pitcher's duel tonight as Carpenter is allowed just one hit. Vasquez the same.
Well, we had a feeling it could materialize that way, and we expected it from our guy, Carpenter. But Vasquez trying to stop that losing streak, and he's got that extra incentive as they see San Diego's already posted a loss.
And the question, I think, if you're Arizona, that you have to ask yourself, do you give up some of the young talent that you have stocked up now in your minor league system to try to maybe get a #1 starter? But then I think maybe you have to look at this series and how the Cardinals have dominated so far and just say, wait a minute, do we give up on the future just for that chance to get in the first round and get beat? That very well could happen.
Yeah, nobody really seems like they want to take charge in the National League West. San Diego, most people think, is the best team because of its very good pitching. They would like to acquire a little more offense. But I would think that Arizona could be making a big mistake if they, you know, think they're as good as they can hang with the others. They made a big jump over a year. Maybe they ought to be a little more patient. They will have a chance because they'll play San Diego, but then they got Florida and Atlanta coming in here too. Or they will play those teams. So they'll have a pretty good idea by the 31st.
They've got a #1 overall pick that everybody says is one of the best athletes to come out in the last 20 years. And Josh Upton. They've got Stephen Drew, plays shortstop out of Florida State. And there's some that believe, a strikeout of Snyder, that Stephen Drew, JD's brother, will be up with the Diamondbacks at the beginning of next year, if not at the end of this year with the September call-ups. That's how good they feel he's been hitting.
That's a pretty good pitch right there from Carpenter. But I would think that, you know, you probably you've got that window of September call-up. You'd be almost foolish not to bring him up to get a better read.
They've got 3 other players, 3 names to watch out for: Connor Jackson, Carlos Quentin, and Sergio Santos. They believe all 5 of those players I just mentioned have a shot to make it to the major leagues next year. 1 ball, 1 strike on Vasquez.
Awful tough to have that many rookies come up and still think you're a contending team.
And look at what they did last year, Al, by having some of these players just jump from AAA all the way to the major leagues. Chris Snyder, one of those guys.
From AA.
Right.
The catcher from AA, but there's some rookies. Isn't she a rookie?
She's a rookie on the IRL circuit. Her fiance is a physical therapist with the Oakland A's. Rolling with the backhanded play, can take his time with the pitcher running. We are through 5. Molina, Carpenter, Eckstein coming up. Cardinals behind Edmonds' home run. They lead it 1-0.
FSN Midwest, where Cardinals fans come first.
Cardinal Baseball, a production of Bud Sports and an exclusive presentation of FSN Midwest. Cardinals lead it on a Jim Edmonds home run, 1-0. It's Molina, Carpenter, and Eckstein here in the top of the 6th against Javier Vasquez. Both pitchers have allowed just 1 hit so far. I don't know if you saw it, Al, but Kenny Rogers, Texas left-hander, apologized, held a press conference today. First time he's spoken to the media all season long, apologizing for his actions last week. And he has not decided whether or not to go to the All-Star game next week in Detroit.
What do you think he should do?
I think he made the right move in apologizing to the fans. Now I think he needs to gauge the response out there to see how it's received, because you don't want to be the center of attention in a bad way, and that certainly would be the case with Kenny Rogers. You don't want to take away from the game.
I saw a.
You agree?
Yeah, totally. I saw a columnist here that told all the cameramen for the All-Star game not to shoot him, to just take your camera, not to give him any airtime. Don't shoot him. And of course the columnist said you'll probably get fired, but you'd win the respect of the fans.
No one would know who you are.
I have a feeling that the cameramen will not follow that recommendation.
They'd like to keep their job. Not a bad idea, though. Let's turn the tables a little bit. 2 balls and a strike on Molina. He grounded sharply to the shortstop his first time up. There's Marty Mason. He is the bullpen coach of the Cardinals. He is headed to the All-Star game. Doing some coaching out there, Cal Eldred and Brad Thompson. And Brad Thompson gets to the ballpark. He grabs his iPod. He puts on headphones and doesn't say a word. But the players love him. They respect the fact that he's quiet. He listens, trying to soak it all in. He'd rather have it that way than some guy that comes in pretty brash.
Absolutely. And that's another reason why he's been respected by his teammates, and they welcome him with open arms, because he is so respectful of them and the game.
What's going on with their bullpen?
Well, it's kind of a revolving door.
Lifted out to center. Easy play there for Jose Cruz Jr. First man retired.
That's one of the things about this Diamondbacks team. Until they get their issues solved in their bullpen, I don't think you can really consider them a contending team.
It's 15 straight that Vasquez has set down, so that bullpen can sit there for a while. No need to get up. He's only allowed just the 1 hit, so we show you that shot. There's no activity out there.
Relievers for Arizona have an 8-11 record, but a ERA at 6.
Carpenter lined out to the shortstop, first time up. Another curveball. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike with David Eckstein on deck.
And just for a comparison between the Cardinal bullpen, their record is 5 wins, 7 losses, but an ERA under 3.
Another good pitch.
Why would their sound system here be telling everybody to get loud and noisy with the Cardinals hitting?
2 strikes, I guess maybe to get them ready for a potential strikeout. Trying to make a rattlesnake sound, and it doesn't sound like that at all. It sounds like
baby rattle.
Yeah, like flies or a flock of bees coming at you.
It sounds like what you're going to get used to hearing. A baby rattle.
Yeah. 2 down. Here's Eckstein, who is 0 for 2. He's grounded to short and flied to right. "16 straight he is set down since the home run back in the top of the first by Edmonds. And Jimmy is the second man that he saw tonight. And quickly it's 0-2 on David.
I said a lot of times this year, as good as this offense is, it's been the pitching staff that has carried it.
Yeah, the curveball and a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 6 for Vasquez. Now it's Carpenter's turn in the bottom of the 6th. Top of the order coming up. Next TV game will be tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on FSN Midwest against the Arizona Diamondbacks from Bank One Ballpark. The pregame show at 8 o'clock with our buddy Jim Hayes, and let's check in with Jim, who's behind home plate. Jim.
comes with all you can eat, all you can drink, private wait staff, and these TVs. Now, these TVs have full cable, but so if you want to check out something else besides the baseball game, but seeing as this is Reggie Sanders' family, I think they're going to be watching this ball game.
I don't see him watching it. I see him.
You're watching, aren't you? You're watching the game? Yeah, they're watching. They're watching.
All right, Jim, thank you. Reggie Sanders, of course, makes his off-season home here in Arizona. In the lineup tonight playing left field, here's Counsell. Fastball misses outside, so it's the third time through the lineup now for Chris Carpenter, pitching to Jim along with Vasquez. Both these pitchers have allowed just one hit. Mentioned that Houston has jumped ahead of the Chicago Cubs as Counsell hits this one into left center field. And how about this, Al? In that game, Andy Pettitte leaves in the third with elbow discomfort, and Houston has to use 6 different pitchers to finish out that game. And that's one of the reasons that the Yankees, I mean, hey, they've got the money to sign everybody, and they threw a lot of money at Andy Pettitte. Boston threw a ton of money at Pettitte, eventually wanted to go back home, but the Yankees could have made it even more of a tougher situation for Andy Pettitte to say, I'm not leaving New York. And they said, you know what, this is the best offer we've got, because they knew what was going on with that arm. Out last year with the elbow problem, and obviously it's back in play here in 2005.
Yeah, it's been every year that he's been there. It's been in play or aggravating at times, and trips to the disabled list. I hope that doesn't happen again.
Cintron tonight has grounded out, and he's fly to left.
Sometimes you have more of a medical history than the other suitors, and sure, you'd like a guy back because you know his work ethic and you know the type of person he is, but sometimes that medical staff will have an overriding factor in deciding how far you go with him.
2-2 pitch. Curveball is pulled foul out in front. He's had, after that first inning, Chris Carpenter, seems like these hitters are not real comfortable in the box. Carpenter hasn't had a real established pattern in a positive way. His guys are out in front.
Now he, the art of pitching, keeping everybody off balance.
Down the left field line, Sanders giving chase. It's slicing and foul.
Because Carpenter has so many different pitches, and they're all really good quality pitches. He can really keep a hitter from, thinking they're guessing with you or becoming more predictable.
Cintron just gets a piece. Carpenter, of course, the opening day starter for the Cardinals against the Astros. He was the Jays opening day starter back in 2002. Out of Trinity High School in New Hampshire. He was all-state in 2 sports, 3 years in a row, hockey and, of course, the game of baseball. That's drilled, and this game is tied. It's 1-1. Cintron with his 3rd home run, a no-doubter. And it's a brand new ball game here in the bottom of the 6th.
Only his 3rd home run. All 3 of them batting left-handed. And a game like this, you get back even. It's one little mistake. Left-handers have hit 7 of the 9 home runs he's allowed this year. And he got a ball right where he could handle it, and it was no doubt.
Luis Gonzalez, the batter, he struck out twice. Has not been happy both times with the strike zone. And taps this one back to Carpenter. A weak swing. And that's the kind of guy that's unsure of the strike zone, trying to figure it out. Hesitating in the box.
Well, good pitch out away from him. Tried to roll over. And instead of going with the pitch, he tried to pull it. And a little tapper back to Carpenter. So good way after you give up the home run to Cintron to come back and get another good hitter out. on a weak tapper.
2 outs, and Gloss is the hitter. He picked up the first base hit for Arizona with a double down the left field line. He's been on base twice tonight. They go along with a walk.
Gloss has a pair of home runs against Carpenter and 5 hits and 17 career appearance or hits or at bats. That's what I'm trying to think, right?
There you go. You know, Houston was having problems with Brad Lidge as well. He was a question mark for the All-Star game, and he did pitch tonight. He did not pitch the 9th. He pitched the 7th, and it was a 1-2-3 inning.
Yeah, they talked about bringing him in earlier in the ball game in case he had problems. They would have guys to cover it. You bring him in the 9th inning and use your setup men ahead of him, you could be in trouble.
How many times have we seen, though, a game 1 in the 7th inning?
Yeah, exactly.
So he had a 1-2-3 7th and only threw 10 pitches in that inning. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Hit to short. Charging is David Eckstein. We head to the 7th. Alex Cintron has tied it up with a solo home run. It's 1-1.
FSN Midwest, where Cardinals fans come first.
Pitch by pitch brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers.
Troy Gloss is the hitter. Last batter got great power, so he's trying to keep it ahead of him. He throw those breaking balls. There's one that kind of up in the zone, and then he kind of jammed him with that one as it backed up and a little ground ball to short. But their shortstop, Cintron, hit the home run last inning to tie this game 1-1.
Edmonds has the lone Cardinal hit tonight. A solo shot back in the first. His 16th home run against Vasquez. And that has been the difference in this game for the Cardinals. Home run by Cintron. The difference for Arizona. It's 1-1. Edmonds starts things off with a second base hit into right field. Aggressively takes a wide turn at first, and it's quickly back in by Sean Green. Jim Sanders is tonight's merchandise winner in the Hyundai long drive inning sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run in the 7th, Jim will qualify for the Hyundai Tucson drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer.
Albert didn't look good his last time up, and really the first time he rolled over on a pitch. But the 3rd time with his 17-game hitting streak on the line, we'll see what materializes.
Albert is sitting on 22 home runs. And the first pitch is low. Cardinals were aggressive in the first 2 games of this series as far as stolen bases. Pujols had one. David Eckstein had one.
Snyder's only thrown out like 24% of base stealers.
1-0 pitch is hit sharply to third. Chance at a double play. That's 5-4-3. Nice pick over at first.
So if Jim slow getting up at second base after he went out to Counsell, and looks like he's grabbing his knee
and limping off the field.
So Gloss got rid of this ball quickly. A step or two to his right.
And Vasquez happy with that double play. Now it's Walker. Lined out to center. He's flying to center. 0 for 2. Tailing action on that fastball for strike 1.
Jim Edmonds there, slow to get up. His knees are sore, but
he's playing through some of that pain in his knees.
Greg Hawk, assistant trainer, helping him out.
Walker flings the bat, and it's time to stretch. Bottom of the 7th coming up. A 1-1 game. Cardinal baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack invites you to come in and experience ciabatta. It's all about the bread. And by your local Chrysler Jeep dealers. Nighttime upon us out west here in Arizona. Sean Green will be the leadoff man. And that home run by Alex Cintron snapped 21 2/3 of scoreless baseball tossed by Chris Carpenter.
It was a home run that was scored against him in the 9th inning off the bat of Lopez. And now, so 2 solo shots.
Curveball misses up and away.
He's only allowed 9 home runs on the season. Vasquez, Edmonds' home run was number 15.
Sean Green trying to extend his 7-game hitting streak. And he is 0 for 3 tonight. Boy, Grudzielanek has been very, very busy.
They get a left-hander out in the mound. A lot of times when he has a good breaking ball, they'll roll over and hit a lot of balls to the left side of the infield. So a right-handed pitcher, Grudzielanek, will get that bulk of the work.
Grudzielanek part of 5 ground ball outs. Here's Tony Clark. Pulls it foul. He came into the telecast talking about Tony Clark and the fact that he's had very good success against the Cardinal right-hander. The best in this lineup, but 0 for 2 tonight as Carpenter is allowed 2 hits. Vasquez 2 hits. Two.
Times you bear down on the guys that you have a little history with. But Cintron, that was his home run, was the second one he's hit off the Carpenter.
Call, 3rd strike. Good pitch on the inside corner. That's number 5 for Chris Carpenter.
A lot of cutters coming in on him, but then he throws the fastball and gets that tailing action back to the corner, and just a terrific pitch.
Well, he's got nasty stuff. Those left-handed batters see that cutter, which starts out at him, and all of a sudden it's over the middle of the plate. They can't pull the trigger. Cruz Jr., the batter. Strike 1.
Didn't need to appeal. Home plate umpire called that one for Chris.
And it's strike 2 quickly.
94-mile-an-hour sinker. Bottom falling out of it.
Quite a duel tonight. Carpenter and Vasquez. 0-2 the count. Missed his spot, but still a called 3rd strike. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 6 in the game this evening. 1-1 as we head to the 8th. The Saturday game of the week will take us on the West Coast. The Cardinals and Giants, as St. Louis looks to pad its lead in the NL Central. Coverage begins Saturday, 3 o'clock on Fox. So Houston has jumped ahead of Chicago, virtue of a win over San Diego 5-4. Chicago and Atlanta rained out in Dixie tonight. Vasquez back to work. Pitchers duel tonight, 2 hits aside. And a 1-1 ball game. Cardinals with a solo home run from Edmonds. He has the 2 hits for the St. Louis Cardinals. Cintron and Troy Glaus have the 2 hits for Arizona. 8th inning. Roman, Sanders, and Grudzielanek. 1-1 game. Curveball and a strike to Scotty. So he's flied to right, and he is struck out back in the 2nd. Outfield is deep. Straight away for Roland. Counsell, the second baseman, near the bag. So there is room to that right side of the infield, a little bit to right center as well. Everything's a final in the American League. The only 2 games still going on. This one and San Francisco and Cincinnati. It's 4-2. Giants on top of the Reds. And now time is called. Kansas City beat Seattle 5-1. Boston over Texas 7-4. White Sox beat Tampa Bay 7-2. Toronto blanked Oakland 8-0. Detroit over Cleveland 7-3. Nolan pulls it foul. The Los Angeles Angels, they beat Minnesota 7-6. Just doesn't roll off your tongue like the Anaheim Angels.
No, it does not.
Their 0-2 pitch, a little squiver. Roland's going to try to beat it out. A shovel, and they got him. Counsell had a long way to go. As I mentioned, he was playing towards second base. A long way to go, and he makes the play. And that was do or die. The only way he could make it is a shovel pass.
You're right, and lucky didn't have so much English on it. Just a shovel pass. Didn't have time to put it in the glove, take it out with the bare hand, and make a throw. So a bang bang play, and they got it correct. It was an out.
There's Reggie Sanders, back-to-back nights in the starting lineup. Reggie, of course, hadn't played since Saturday with that sprained foot, and he was back in there last night. Went 2 for 3 with a walk, a double, and a home run. His 17th. Number 18 would be perfect right about now.
And you kind of maybe, even though it's been a rough night for him, a pair of strikeouts, that Vasquez maybe make a mistake here. Vasquez does have 2 complete games, 1 shutout. Carpenter has 3 complete games, all 3 of them being shutouts.
1 ball, 1 strike on Reggie.
So both these guys are capable of finishing what they start.
The left-hander is up in the bullpen for Arizona. Nobody up for St. Louis.
Bring him in. Almanza, who just recalled yesterday as the lefty throwing, former Cardinal farmhand.
1-2 on Reggie Sanders. Vasquez has struck out 6. What a ball game.
93 pitches thrown for Vasquez. 68 strikes, 25 balls.
He would just wish that pitchers would take note and watch how aggressive these guys go after the hitters around the zone constantly. They get guys to chase, but they're always around the zone.
Now, if you control the strike zone, and hitters have no choice but expanding it. And that's the art of pitching, getting ahead and then letting the hitter get himself out.
Human nature, too, for an umpire to give you some of those borderline calls. 2-2 and a good cut by Reggie.
I learned a lesson when I was in A-ball, and you only had 2 umpires. So if I start in, and this was back in the days where you had a manager and no coaches. So if I started the game tonight, I was the first base coach tomorrow with the home plate umpire. And I remember an umpire told me, he said, I like working with you because you throw strikes. And after that time, every time that umpire was the home plate umpire, I widened my strike zone.
Sure.
And so did he, because he thought I threw strikes.
2-2 pitch, just missing outside. Another great example of that is ask Tom Glavine or Greg Maddux.
Sure. Bob Melvin was a catcher. You know, you kind of work that little psychology as a catcher with the home plate umpire, but pitchers try to take advantage as once they start widening their strike zone.
The 3-2 swing and a miss. He got him. Strikeout number 7. Reggie has struck out 3 times tonight, and it brings in Gritzolanic.
Tough pitch as he really changes speeds. A little breaking ball out there, down and away, but it's got the wrinkle to it.
June 22nd, the last home run for Mark Gritzolanic.
He needs to get going. He's only 1 for 11 in this series, but he's hit some ball hard, but tough luck.
Especially last time as he lined out to first. He's also grounded out sharply to the shortstop, 0 for 2.
All 4 of his home runs have been hit off of right-handers.
In the bottom of the 8th, Arizona will have the number 8 spot due up in their lineup, and then the pitcher spot, and then back to the top of the order in Counsell. It's a big game for Arizona. They win this, only 3.5 out.
Sure.
And all of a sudden you're saying, okay, instead of dropping 2 straight, and now you've won 1, and all of a sudden the mindset changes a little bit.
100 pitches thrown. As you said, is just, you know, Arizona's beaten the first 2 games, but San Diego lost 2. Status quo in the National League West. And San Diego's already lost again. San Francisco's leading. LA won.
Two pitch. A check swing. Did not go, so a full count. Molina on deck as Grzelcyk tries to extend this top of the 8th. Good ball game.
That curveball has been very effective. Here's where you could get in trouble with a guy that doesn't walk anybody. Sometimes he doesn't want to walk anybody, so he doesn't throw the pitch he probably should.
Left that up in the zone a little bit.
Yeah, but he did throw the off-speed pitch, and I thought he maybe wouldn't throw.
What does he come with here on a full count?
A lot of the breaking balls. Fastball down and away.
Grzelcyk pops it up into right. Sean Green for the 3rd and final out. The Cardinals retired. 1, 2, 3 here in the 8th.
You're watching FSN Midwest, where Cardinals fans come first.
Game recap brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of baseball. 2 home runs the difference in this game. Chris Carpenter again. Another solid outing for Card. 6 strikeouts tonight. He's allowed just 2 hits. It's a 1-1 ball game as we move to the bottom of the 8th. The official bank of Major League Baseball, it's Bank of America. We've got a pinch hitter for the catcher. This is McCracken. First pitch that he sees in this ball game is tap foul.
Now he's pitching for the catcher, but Vasquez is standing at the on-deck circle. So maybe depending on what the pinch hitter does will determine whether Vasquez hits for himself or not.
0-1 pitch. Pitch count for Carpenter tonight at 101. 67 strikes for Carpenter. He's due up second for the Cardinals in the 9th. No activity in the bullpen. Scott Rowland in on the grass at 3rd. Outfield is straight away. 2 strikes now on McCracken. Batting just .215 with 1 home run and 7 RBIs.
It's 2 for his last 15 at the plate. 133 average. He is 7 for 25 at .280 with 3 walks as a pinch hitter. Royce Clayton looking on. Everybody's got to appreciate this game.
The 1-2 is foul. Not by much. A couple of feet foul. And it stays a ball and 2 strikes on Quentin McCracken. Cardinals will have Molina, Carpenter, and Eckstein coming up in the 9th.
2 years ago, Quentin tried to make the Cardinals ball club unsuccessfully.
Story tonight, the 2 pitchers, Vasquez and Carpenter. At one point, Javier Vasquez had set down 17 in a row.
And the Cardinals have not stranded a runner tonight.
After a little hiccup for Carpenter in the 1st, in which he walked 2, he really settled in this game. He stranded 2 in the 1st and settled in. He then would get the next 7 before allowing a base hit. A double, the first hit of the night. That was in the 4th inning. He's also allowed a home run, and that's it. Still has good action on that curveball. That one in the dirt with 2 strikes, 2-2 now.
I knew this could be a good pitching pairing, and it has not disappointed.
We thought it might be, and it's lived up to the billing. Quite a duel. Swing and a miss. A strikeout. Number 7 tonight for Carpenter. Good curveball in on his hands, and he jumped at it. Swung through a ball, and it's strike 3 and the 7th strikeout tonight.
Vasquez will hit for himself, and you thought it'd be a little more of applause.
Not much at all for him. Not much of an appreciation of the effort of Vasquez tonight. First pitch is outside for a ball in the dirt at 93 miles an hour. Arizona did have at one point a lefty up and throwing. Now a right-hander gets loose. Vasquez is 0 for 2. Twice he has grounded Scott Rowland. Cardinals no activity in the bullpen. Late break into right field, and the catch is made by Larry Walker.
Larry's still good out there. 7-time Gold Glove winner, and just a little flare, and he got a good read and jump on it.
It's Brian Bruni out there throwing in the bullpen.
Bruni is their closer of today.
Counsell with 2 down and nobody on. Counsell tonight is walked, was left stranded back in the first. He's grounded out to second and flied to center field.
Brandon Lyon is their real closer, but he's on the disabled list. He has 13 saves, and Bruni has 9, but an ERA of 6.
Lyon came out of nowhere to make the club, and then all of a sudden became their closer and was outstanding in that role. Arizona got off to a very good start, but last month and a half has been a rough go. Sharply hit, and the go-ahead run is on at first base. 2-out hit for Counsell.
Brings up Cintron.
Cintron is homer tonight with a deep home run into right field. That's only the 3rd hit for Arizona.
Cintron is 3 for 10 off of Carpenter in his career with 2 home runs.
Fastball up and away. Cintron is grounded out. He's flied out to left, and he is homered. That was back in the 6th. Just his 3rd home run this season, but a no-doubter. Hit to Grudzielanek, stays down on it. He has been busy tonight. Carpenter has been outstanding tonight. We move to the 9th. Molina, Carpenter, Eckstein coming up in a 1-1 game. FSN Midwest is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, saluting America's responsible drinkers. Responsibility matters. By Taco Bell. Stop by Taco Bell for the new Crunchwrap Supreme. All your favorite Taco Bell tastes sealed up in a grilled flour tortilla, so it's good to go. And by Pontiac, brought to you by the first ever Pontiac G6. Go to www.pontiac.com. Has this been fun to watch on both sides? Just 5 hits total in this game. 3 for Arizona, 2 for St. Louis. It's 1-1. Home runs the difference in this game. One by Edmonds, the other by Cintron. 9th inning. Cardinals have Molina. And Abraham Nunez will be the pinch hitter for Carpenter, and then the top of the order and David Eckstein. Vasquez back to work.
How about this scenario? You give Carpenter a run or 2. As you see, Stinnett is the new catcher while he's still the pitcher of record, and then Izzy picks up save number 200.
Wouldn't that be nice to see? That's down the right field line, and it's fair. Just fair. Molina on his way to second base. Now, if you're Tony La Russa, do you pinch run for Yadier Molina? I think you've got to, don't you? It's 1-1 here in the 9th. Molina at second base. Brent Stover, what's coming up later tonight?
Coming up right after the game on the Busch Light Midwest Sports Report, Jimmy Hayes interviews tonight's star of the game, plus Kenny Rogers faces the media.
So Molina is the go-ahead run at second base. Now he's trotting off to the dugout. There you go. Now it's going to be So Taguchi. He's going to pinch run from Molina, and the batter will be Abraham Nunez. Abraham Nunez has already delivered in this series with a pinch hit RBI double on Monday with the bases loaded. And he is tied for first on the club with 4 pinch hits and 5 pinch RBIs. How about number 6 right here? This could be a very well could be a sacrifice situation for Nunez, but you've got the speed of Taguchi at second. The corners charging in.
I think too, you watch how they play it defensively as the corners are in, and this is one of the risks. You know, you take out Molina here, and it's a little easier this situation because he's in scoring position and you're bringing in a new pitcher. But Kelly Stinnett comes in here and works with a starter that had been brilliant working with his catcher, and kind of tough to get right in the flow of things and see what's been working for this starter.
Looks like Reyes and Isringhausen getting loose in the Cardinal bullpen. Go ahead, run it second.
Reyes, if you don't take the lead.
Nunez drops it down beautifully. The sacrifice is good. Nunez off the bench delivers. The go-ahead run at third base with just 1 out for the Cardinals. Sacrifice good. And now it's David Eckstein. And David Eckstein is hitting .328 with runners in scoring position. And the only play, of course, for Vasquez was to go to first. He's 7 for his last 22 with runners in scoring position. A chance to give the Cardinals a lead. A chance for David at RBI number 24.
It's just one of these situations. You got to pull your infield in. You've got an excellent bunter, but you got a guy that's kind of put a lot of pressure on the defense. And Vasquez has committed 3 errors.
First pitched at David Eckstein.
Not showing bunt, and it could be a different scenario with every pitch. And you always got the squeeze play to contend with this combination. Taguchi, the base runner, at third, and Eckstein at the plate.
Cardinal bench on the top step, watching anxiously here in the 9th. We watch the 1-0 pitch coming to David. Squeezes on, gets it down, and the Cardinals have the lead. Eckstein delivers with the RBI. His 24th. Taguchi scores, and it's 2-1 St. Louis.
Cardinals have used the squeeze many times this year, but you could just see that scenario, and if you get the bunt down almost any place, you're going to get that runner home, and really no play at the plate. So to get there, and Carpenter still the pitcher record. Look at how the good fundamentals of going down, and that ball was down low.
That was not an easy.
It was not an easy bunt, but with the good fundamentals, Eckstein made it look easy. Now get an insurance run.
Boy, they just do the little things night in and night out. Double by Molina, pinch run for him. Nunez a sacrifice, then a squeeze play to perfection. Jim Edmonds with a home run tonight. He made it 1-0. Cintron would tie it up with his home run in the 6th. The Cardinals have regained the lead 2-1 on the RBI by David Eckstein.
Izzy's got a chance for his 200th career save tonight. Carpenter trying to win for the 13th time, and what a game. And there's that anything close. We're going to call it a strike. Bill Miller on the appeal play.
1-2 the count on Edmonds.
And it's only human nature if you're Vasquez to kind of slump your shoulders and feel like you lost another game, your 4th in a row. But you got to battle back and keep it just a 1-run deficit.
Coming up, bottom of the 9th, it'll be Gonzalez, Blouse, and Green. It won't be easy. 2-1 Cardinals. Izzy coming in, hopefully for number 200. Taking his warm-up tosses. Cardinals with a 2-1 lead as we move to the bottom of the 9th. Our play of the game brought to you by Bud Light. What else? The squeeze play to perfection, performed by David Eckstein, as So Taguchi would score the go-ahead run, and it's 2-1 Cardinals. And now it's time for Jason Isringhausen. It seems like we've been waiting all season long for this. Save number 200 hopefully tonight for Jason Isringhausen in his career. Just one away from that. He's 22 of 24 in save opportunities. We did see him pitch last night. 1 inning and no hits allowed. He made that barehanded play up the middle. one of the top defensive plays of the game as he got a little work in. It was his first work that he had in a week. Now remember, the Cardinals pinch ran for Molina, so Einar Diaz takes over from behind the plate.
Is he coming in here? And he did get that 9th inning, 1 inning last night. The team has just had 2 save opportunities the last 15 games with 9 victories. He has 123 saves as a Cardinal, ranking 4th in the team's all-time save list, 4 back of Bruce Sutter. Despite missing 2 weeks, his 22 saves are 3rd best in the National League, chasing Cordero's 30. And would this be one more of these big games where the pitching staff has just many times has really done the job and picked up for the offense. The offense has got 3 hits, but they've manufactured 2 runs with those 3 hits.
Won't be easy. Gonzalez, Glass, and Green coming up here in the bottom of the 9th. 2-1 Cardinals trying to make it 3 straight. And 4 straight overall. 3 straight, though, against the Diamondbacks. First pitch at 93 miles an hour is a ball in the dirt.
Just one of those tough saves. But Gonzalez 3 for 8 against Izzy.
A grounder backing up Pujols. Nice play. Good lead to Jason Isringhausen covering at first. Out number 1. That's the only down spot of this game is Pujols' hit streak. Could be halted at 17 games tonight, but he'll give that up for a 2-1 win.
Right, most definitely, and start a new one tomorrow. Troy Glass 2 for 8. Top of Izzy with 3 punch outs.
Well, how about this? The Cardinals just 3 hits and a lead of 2-1.
That's right. Both pitchers allowed only 3 hits, the starters, and what a matchup here. Carpenter 2 outs away from his 13th victory.
Swing and a miss by Glass. Of course, he's got the tremendous power with 18 home runs. You've got to be careful with him. He has doubled down the left field line. He picked up the first hit against Carpenter for Arizona back in the 4th. He has walked, and he's also grounded out to short.
That would have been a real high average guy, but you make mistakes and he can deposit them.
0-1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sean Green on deck. Two to 1 Cardinals. Is he trying to pick up the save? The 1-1 pitch. Glass stays away. 2-1. Chicago rained out tonight. Houston a winner. Cardinals trying to stay 12.5 games in front in the Central. The 2-1 pitch. 3-1.
Getting the ball down at the low end of the strike zone. It's one of those things too where Diaz really hasn't had many opportunities of catching Isringhausen, and it seems like it looks like a lot more fastballs than we normally see.
Sure is.
But the pitcher always has the option of shaking him off. There's the cutter.
And here it comes. Full count. Of course, the best cutter in the game as far as closers, Mariano Rivera. Jason Isringhausen, a very good one that he possesses.
Cutter again.
And time called.
I think some of those where I was thinking fastballs were the cutters, but it's just not a lot of movement on them. But you don't need much. There's a fastball. Struck off to the cutter.
Good cut there by Troy Glass, and it's 3-2.
And down and got it.
This is one of those games, if you win, you look back and remember.
Sure.
It stands out.
And, you know, as a relief pitcher, you're sitting here, you got your own personal milestone, 200 saves, but more importantly, you want to preserve an excellent starting assignment for Carpenter.
Here's a 3-2.
Ooh. Tough to take that pitch. Tough not to get a call.
1 out, walk. So Chris Carpenter has turned it over to the bullpen after his 8 strong innings.
Now Clayton will run for Gloss with his sore knee.
He's going to receive his 3rd cortisone shot during the All-Star break. Back to Carpenter, though. 8 strong innings, just 1 run on 3 hits, and he struck out 7 tonight. He walked 2, both of those back in the first, gave up the home run to Cintron, and that was the only damage done against him.
Where's Clayton on out there? You got your hottest hitter, who's trying to extend his hitting streak to 8 games.
Clayton has 4 stolen bases on the year. Strike 1 on Sean Green. Green tonight is grounded back to the pitcher. He is struck out and grounded out to Grzelcyk. A double play would end it. I think Grzelcyk, I think double play.
Got cutter and tried to pound it in, but he's had a lot of really good curveballs this year, thrown to left-handed batters.
Clark is on deck. The 0-1 pitch. Vicious swing and a miss by Sean Green. If Izzy can close it out, it would be his 23rd save in 2005, number 200 of his career. Elected by the players to appear in his 2nd career All-Star game, 1st in the National League.
Want the sinker, didn't want the cutter, wants the curveball.
Haven't seen this.
That's a good selection. Ooh.
Blocked by Diaz.
And a nice job by Diaz. There's time where people have been suspect with his catching, but here with the game on the line, he comes up with a nifty block. Weight shift to his right, smothers that ball, and that was a key time to come up with that block. And it's hard to be consistent when you've played so little.
Diaz wants to talk it over with his closer. What a great ball game.
It was a great game. Shame somebody has to lose, and it's kind of one of those times where you say, where's the jug you sell? Where's the Rolaids if you're a manager? If this isn't a step off or some type, no.
He got him. Caught him looking. Cardinals 1 out away from victory number 54. And Tony Clark will be the hitter against Isringhausen.
Backdoor cutter, gave up on it away, and just a little slight break to it. Tony Clark 1 for 3 off of Jason. Another guy with tremendous power, switch hitter. He's 0 for 3.
Clark rips it into right center field. Clayton around second. On his way to third. The tying run is at third base. The winning run is at first.
Cruz the hitter. 2 outs though, and Tony Clark is an intriguing player for some. You know, the Diamondbacks still think they're going to be a contending team. And you see 3 for 7.
Pair of home runs. So now Dave Duncan out to talk it over with this situation. 1st and 3rd, 2 down, and a 2-1 Cardinals lead. The Cardinals just 1 out away from victory.
I was asking someone this evening about Jose Cruz Jr. and very quickly the response was 4th outfielder, and said they really can't play center field, but he's playing center field for the Diamondbacks, playing every day, but on a real good team. They felt like he was really better suited as a 4th outfielder, the kind of guy that, you know, has trouble after 300 at bats.
Good defensive player.
Wears down.
2 outs, runners at the corners. First pitch, a strike. Cruz tonight has struck out. He's flied to right and he's grounded to second base.
You love it when you go down to your last batter with the game in the balance.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. High fly ball into right field. It'll stay in the ballpark. Walker's there. It's save number 200 of Isringhausen's career. Win number 54 for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2005. And Chris Carpenter is now 13-4 before the All-Star break. What a win for St. Louis as they hold on 2-1, and they'll go for the sweep tomorrow night. Midwest Sports Report comes your way now.